Good people, good people. It's another Wednesday, another episode. Easily podcast. Got a couple of things to talk about. Obviously, importantly, the news that busted out today about playing next week, people not playing, all that good stuff. We'll discuss that. Who's on the roster, who's still supposedly hurt, all that good stuff. We'll talk about that as well. Big game last week, clinched the division, clinched the number 2 seed, made those things happen. There's no changing that, right? There's no going back. That's happened. It is what it is. We in there. This week, we got a game against the Giants. Honestly, not a lot of intrigue or interest in that particular game because it has no outcome on us, right? That has no outcome. We've already locked in basically the number 2 because we would need both teams that are playing each other to lose, not tie, but lose, in order for us to be able to get the number 1 seed. And they can't both lose because they play each other. And that's the Vikings and the Lions. So it is what it is. Things happen. We shouldn't have lost to Washington, but we did. But we still had the number 2 seed. So that's what's important. So go ahead, get this thing started, get the crackling, popping, and all that good stuff. Got my man Wyatt on the scene. Wyatt, what up?
What's going on, Cool? What's going on, Eagles Nation? A lot to talk about this episode. Last week of the regular season rolling into the playoffs. There's a lot of news.
Yes, sir. And our first comment, we got Philly in the building. She says, Happy New Year and go Eagles. Definitely Happy New Year. Definitely go Eagles. As you know, last week we recorded, so this is our first live episode in 2 weeks. Feels good to be back live. So everybody, make sure you tune in. Make sure you show your people some love. Make sure you like, share, and subscribe. Especially that share, but like and subscribe is very important as well. So we're going to bang this thing off. We're going to get a little hype. And then y'all know where we're going. Because if you watch, you already know the format. It don't change. Nothing changed but the limp. Let's go.
The kick is away, and the kick is, it's good! And the Eagles win!
It's hard to come to South Philadelphia and leave here with the win. You just don't come to Philadelphia and leave here with the win.
Eagles fans everywhere, this is for you. Let the celebration begin!
All right, y'all, we back in the building. Y'all know what time it is. Y'all know what day it is. So, we got a lot to talk about because a lot's happened. But, hey, y'all know the format. Y'all know the style. Y'all know how we do this thing. Ain't nothing changed. Updates. Wyatt, what you got for us, bro?
Yeah, as you mentioned already, Eagles are at the number 2 seed as of right now, and it's looking like they're most likely going to be playing the Packers here in the wild card round. They could also play Washington as well. They would actually need Washington to lose to Dallas this week and for Green Bay to beat Chicago. So, I can't foresee both of those happening unless Washington decides to sit players, but they're just fighting for seeding as of right now, so I don't see that happening. So most likely, and looking like probably facing Packers here in Wild Card Weekend, and they're missing one of their top defensive players with Jair Alexander missing the rest of the season now.
Yep.
Other than that, go ahead, man. Sorry.
I was just gonna ask what else you got for us. That's all.
Oh yeah, CJGJ has been named the NFC Defensive Player of the Week after having 2 interceptions, which we'll get to when we break down the Cowboys game and everything. That's just another Eagle with another Player of the Week here. We've been seeing that a lot. A lot of it was Saquon, but we've seen like Zach Bond get it. Now CJGJ.
Definitely.
In another news, we ended up putting tight end CJ Uzomah on IR because as of today, Dallas Goedert has officially, he hasn't been activated as of yet, but his practice window has been opened. And even though today was a walkthrough, he was a full participant. So they expect him to be fully back for those playoffs here because I'm assuming he's not going to be playing this weekend.
Right. Anything else?
But other than that, no, I don't really have too much news.
But we do also have word coming out of Philadelphia. Don't know if I believe it, but word come out of Philadelphia that one Jalen Hurts is still in the concussion protocol. I'll call hogwash, haberdash, and poppycock on that, but that's what we're being told. Personal belief. I don't know if you guys have any thoughts on it as well, but my personal belief is that they're using this as a crutch to not play Jalen Hurts, but he already missed pretty much 2 games. So now you're going to go a third game with him getting no snaps, no reps, heading into a playoff game against either Washington or Green Bay. These are the type of things that I say why I don't like Nick Sirianni as our head coach. These are the type of things, right? This does not make sense on multiple angles, but I'll just say that one right now. We'll talk about the rest later. Do you guys have any thoughts on the Jalen Hurts situation?
Go ahead, what?
I mean, from what I've seen, from what I just on Twitter and social media and everything, apparently he has to log like at least a limited practice. He actually has to participate in practice to clear concussion protocol. And obviously he missed all last week. And we just had a walkthrough today. So, I mean, if he could possibly like have a limited participation in practice here tomorrow or a Friday or something, then still be cleared. But I mean, yeah, it's not looking like he's going to be playing, even if he is cleared at this point.
Yeah, I just think that's BS. That you still have him under concussion protocol, as you say. Dude was in stage 5 on Sunday, the day he received the concussion. So how are you in stage 5? Remind y'all, is the last stage of the concussion protocol, which means it was a very mild concussion. So how do you let the dude go damn near almost 3 games without playing? I mean, I understand you're trying to keep him healthy for playoff, but you also don't want a rusty quarterback who hasn't played in almost 3 games. I mean, because they only played 2-3 minutes of the first quarter of the Washington game to go in a playoff game playing the Packers, even though we don't know what they look like. I mean, they haven't been looking too good, or even just having to play Washington again with him not playing in 3 games. Like, that's stupid. Like, at least let him play 1 quarter. Just like I think you should let Saquan play 1 quarter and then take him out. But I don't like the whole concussion protocol lie, period. I mean, because honestly, I think he could have played last week. I mean, we saw Allen get knocked unconscious and came back the very next week and played. So I'm just not understanding how a mild concussion stage 5 quarterback is still under concussion protocol almost 2.5 weeks later.
Yeah, so much to get into. Like I said, we'll get into the whole Saquon situation and all that here in a few minutes. But boy. It's a lot happening. But, the easiest thing to do here is go bust down. Week 17, we know we had a lot of great performances. Who do y'all feel was our weakest link?
I don't know, man. I'm gonna be honest with you. I ain't watched that first quarter. I mean, I really didn't watch the first quarter, so I don't really even know. I just heard what happened, but I don't. When I came in, basically second quarter, everybody was playing like they were supposed to. So, if you want to know my true weakest link, Michael Parsons. That's my weakest link right there, Michael Parsons.
Well, who you got?
I'm all just because I can't really think of a single person. I'm gonna say the wide receiver 3 position for the Philadelphia Eagles. You get no looks on a weekly basis.
That's right. That position is obsolete right now.
Yeah, straight up.
They just out of the block. I'm gonna say Nick Sirianni because Jalen Hurts didn't play, and because if you knew there was a probability that you were not gonna play the starters this week coming up, you should have got Saquon the ball more because there's a record that's out there. And I know he says it doesn't matter to him, but if we're being 100% honest, having that record etched in the history books with Saquon being a guy, that's a big look for him career-wise. That's the type of thing that could be the difference between him making Hall of Fame or not, right? And that's a big moment that you're taking away from him in the name of team. I understand the injury concern, but you could just give him a little bit of time and see what it does. But again, we'll get into that later. But that's my weakest link. I'm going to go with Nicholas Sirianni for the Lord knows how many umpteenth time this season. But there's a lot of times even when we're playing well, he has been the weakest link, and he's continuing to be the weakest link. All right. Lead performance of the game. Diva, I know you got somebody for this.
No, I got the whole D line.
Okay.
Straight up.
What?
I'm gonna go Kenny Pickett. Surprisingly, even though he didn't play the whole game, I wasn't sold. I didn't think he was gonna come out and show out like as well as he did, at least based off of the Washington game. Didn't really have much confidence in Kenny Pickett whatsoever going into this, even with a weak practice. But after those first 2 drives, he was able to get into a rhythm and find open guys, make some big time throws and everything. I was pleasantly surprised on his performance in this. Just sucks he had to go out due to the rib injury and everything.
I want to give a secondary shout out to Tanner McKee.
Yes, sir.
Mm-hmm.
Like Jordan Mailata called him, I think he called him the Mormon Missile.
Mm-hmm.
Should have been playing backup the whole time, man.
Yeah,
After
I want
what
to
we
give him a
seen.
shout out. He came in and looked really good in his time. But I have to give Devontae Smith my player of the game, my lead performance. Last week, the drop ball cost us the game. There was a couple of things that did, but that was one of the plays that had it went differently, even with everything else the same, we would have won the game. So bouncing back, having a big game, he put that behind him, came out, multiple touchdowns, over 100 yards, had a really good game. So want to shout him out for that, and that's going to be my elite performance of the game. Great performance and a bounce back on top of that. But we got to get a Mormon Missile some love. That's the man that we need out there this week.
Mm-hmm.
Won't look as good with the back. Well, he might look good with the backups. This is probably all the people he played with, so he might look good with him. All right. So now we get to go back to a part of the season that is very happy for us. Dallas Cowboys talk a lot of trash. All into football team, whatever you want to call them, cowgirls, whatever, right? Talked a lot of trash. But they got swept this year by your Philadelphia Eagles. And for getting swept, I just want to play a little something to remind everybody of how we troll how the Eagles troll Dallas in Dallas.
Here we go right now. We got a kicker with a pick.
The Indianapolis Colts have traded the 49th pick to the Philadelphia Eagles. To announce the Philadelphia Eagles selection, please welcome from the University of Louisville, kicker David Akers.
What's up, Dallas?
Kicker's trolling the Cowboys.
Last year. I like standing up here before you as an undrafted free agent, representing that shield for 15 years. Tonight, I'm representing the Philadelphia Eagles, NFC East champs, divisional champs, NFC champs, and world champs. The world champs. Hey, Dallas, the last time you were in the Super Bowl, these draft picks weren't born. Tonight, we are welcomed into the Eagles
Look at Doug
family
Peterson.
with the 49th pick in the 2018 draft. The NFL would like to represent the Philadelphia Eagles, Dallas Goedert. He is the tight end from South Dakota State. Go Birds!
Great moment. A lot of those things still hold true. The draft picks this past year and the upcoming draft picks weren't born the last time Dallas was in the Super Bowl. A lot of us here, if we were born, we were small children the last time Dallas went to the Super Bowl. So I just want to say, David Akers, you are a legend just for that, sir. Thank you for allowing us to have that clip, and thank you for doing that for us. And Dallas fans, all that still applies. And hopefully, because none of us can see the future, but hopefully we'll be saying the same thing after this season. David Akers started that off. Well, let's now get into the Week 17 review of Philadelphia Eagles versus the Dallas Cowboys. Eagles Diva, what would you like to talk about in regards to this specific matchup of wonderfulness?
Man, besides playing, these boys got beat by a second streamer and a third streamer all in one game. How do you get beat by a second and a third string quarterback in one game? And this was probably crazy or not, probably one of the best games, even better than the game we played when we actually had our quarterback in. Like, we really ran out there, and O-line was amazing for Kenny Pickett, for Saquon. That O-line is something special. Just by the way they be blocking and making, holes for Saquon. And just, like we said, we were surprised in Kenny Pickett and how he was able to come out and dice up Dallas the first half until Michael Parsons with that cheap shot on Kenny Pickett caused him to go out. But then you had Tanner McKee come in and do what we knew that Tanner McKee could do as a backup and kept slicing and dicing him again. Defense was on fire this week. As I say, I think CJ needs a C on his jersey because he made a big difference. He had a pregame speech that was amazing. He had 2 interceptions. Jalen Carter was absolutely amazing. Davis got a turnover. And it was just all around a very good defensive game. And I just hope those boys keep building and building on the defense. On top of that, Sidney Brown slam was amazing. Was amazing. So yeah, it was a really good game. A lot of us probably wasn't feeling too confident about this game. I think Dallas probably thought they had this in the bag, but nowhere near. So good game, guys.
Wyatt?
Yeah, I mean, like I mentioned, I was kind of a little pessimistic going into the game, just having a backup QB, and we saw what Kenny Pickett was able to do last week and everything. But it kind of started out a little rocky just because there really wasn't too much creativity as far as the offense was concerned in those first 2 drives. First drive, you went pass, and just went 3 and out. Second drive, you just go run. You're not, going back and forth between, really little short screen passes or middle of the field stuff, and then you're running the ball. There just wasn't enough consistency with the offense. And then by that third drive, they started to get some stuff rolling, these short little slant passes, finding guys a little bit open. They're bombing it open to AJ Brown and Devontae Smith. Even Calcaterra had that nice one-hand grab. It was like a 20-yarder. They were actually able to move the ball pretty efficiently throughout the rest of the game, even once Tanner McKee came in. And that defense, it started out a little rocky as well, looking kind of towards the back half of that Washington game, how they were looking. But they really started to tighten up. They were kind of letting a lot of runs go in that first quarter or so, especially with missing Nakobe Dean in there. But you also had CJ back, who was able to make a couple big plays here, especially the pick 6, the other interception. But the defense just picked up after some adjustments right up where they left off throughout the rest of the season here. They were a monster. They were forced to be reckoned with, turnover after turnover. I think it's like 8 turnovers in like the last 6 quarters or something like that. It's insane. So, I mean, the defense, we know they're for real. I mean, yeah, you're going to have like these little mishaps or little screw ups every now and then, but they're going to get their act together and, perform up to par. And it seems like the offense we can't get past some of those slow starts as far as the first quarter goes. So hopefully they're able to kind of figure some stuff out going into the playoffs and a wild card. That way that's not happening. But I mean, I was pleasantly surprised with this offense, especially with Kenny Pickett. And even though I was one of the ones screaming for Tanner McKee to come in, it was a little nerve-wracking having Kenny Pickett leave and then having to rely on your third string. But even with the limited throws he had, I think it was like 2 touchdowns on 4 throws or 5 throws or something like that. But I mean, I'm pleasantly surprised with this offense. They were able to make something happen without Jalen Hurts in there. And overall, man, you can't complain about a 41-7 game and then sweeping the Cowboys on the season. It was a nice little bow there.
Yeah, definitely. I want to say, when I say run more, not necessarily just this game. I feel like there are a lot of opportunities throughout the season where you could have had Sirianni and Kellen Moore just in situations say, you know what, let's bust out a couple more runs here and there if we know this guy's on pace to hit this and we know that there's a possibility that we would not allow him to get it by taking him out at the end of the season. Mm-hmm. I just don't like not giving that man that opportunity. But we'll get to that in a few minutes here. So Little G Griffith is in the comments here. He says, my brother daughter is home today. I'm of the Eagles season. Better Eagles kick Giants butts. It didn't even matter, Lil G. I feel you want to go with the momentum, but it's not going to be the real team out there. So it is what it is. All right, we got Hassan Terrell. He says, "Hi there, guys. Happy New Year." Happy New Year to you,
Happy
Hassan.
New Year.
Thank you for hopping in and checking us out too, Little G. But to the game itself, a lot of great things, right? A lot of great things. Saquon did get 31 carries for 167 yards. But if you watch this game, there were opportunities where you could really say, like, we could have probably got him a better carry here, maybe a play action here, a better carry here, and we didn't really do that, right? So, again, thinking we win this game, we know that we're going to sit Saquon. I get 31 carries, and somebody would say, "Well, cool, we got 31. What you crying? What you crying about?" I'm not crying. I'm just saying, if you knew that he needed over 200 yards, situationally giving him the ball, right? Because you ran the ball a lot when McKee came in. I get that. He only had 3 of 4 for 54 yards, but he had 2 touchdowns. So I get that. But at the same time, it's the situation that you're giving the guy the ball into. Then you look at the first game against the Giants when Saquon was unselfishly saying, like, hey, just let the young guys eat. These are moments like, man, if we could go back and just say, well, maybe Saquon finish that up, get another 40, 50 yards, maybe this game we get this, maybe this game we get 10 more yards, things like that, the what ifs. But love what I saw, honestly, overall. Sits to Smitty for 120, like I was saying, 2 touchdowns. AJ had 3 for 36, but he got a touchdown, so he probably won't be mad. Calcaterra had 1 for 34. Gainwell had 1 for 5. And Saquon had 2 for 2 yards as well. On defense said it earlier. The defensive line. They played well. We did give up 100 yards rushing, but even with that, it wasn't a major concern because of all the other things we did so well. We hit their starting quarterback to 15 of 28 for 147 yards. He had a touchdown, 2 interceptions. Right, 23 carries, but 104 yards. Receptions, nobody got over 4. You could argue, if we had our guy, we would have got more. You might would have got more. Let's say if he had 100 and touchdown, he still would have got drugged. I'm not saying he wouldn't have made a difference, but he wouldn't have won you the game. Like, stop that.
Probably been a lot more turnovers with your guy.
And of course, we're talking about one CeeDee Lamb. I just feel like we came out, we played a strong game. We knew that they had some injuries, but for once, we did what I always talk about since we started this show, episode 1. We put our foot in their throat and we never let it off for once. A lot of times we put our foot in the throat and we let it off. There were some times we took field and some times where we may have ran the ball where we should have thrown it. It's sometimes we probably had the ability to get a good runoff. But at the end of the day, overall game flow, amount of carries, everything, can't say he didn't do right by Saquon. Situationally, I can say maybe do a few things differently. Also, with McKee probably playing this week, coming up, why not let him have some more throws? Why not let him have a couple more throws just to see if you need to use him, you're comfortable with starting him. But, those are minuscule things right now. But once those playoffs hit, maybe a guy not having some reps, maybe a guy not getting involved, it could hurt. Definitely, like Eagles Diva said, like White said, that number 3 wide receiver spot, it should have been used at some point this year to some efficiency, and it really hasn't been. That's a big concern, but hopefully those guys will get some reps this week, and that way they'll get themselves slightly ready for the playoffs. A lot more I can say about the game, but what can you say? We swept them. We did what we were supposed to do. We're where we need to be. We won a division. We've pretty much blown our chance for the number 1 overall seed because, like I say, the Lions and the Vikings play each other. So one of them is going to win. And they both won their 2 games leading up to this. So even if we had one, we still wouldn't be the number 1 seed, right? It just wouldn't happen. So unfortunately, it is what it is. We go in as a number 2. Hey, it don't matter. Number 1, number 2, number 3, number 4, number 5, whatever. It's not where you are at the beginning of the playoffs. It's where you are when the Super Bowl's over. And hopefully, like every year, we hope the Eagles are hoisting the Lombardi for the 2nd time when all is said and done. Diva, any other thoughts on this game?
Nope.
No, it was a beatdown.
it was quite a sight to behold. It was very nice to see. And, the same Cowboys fans that was laughing last week and talking about, y'all got beat by the Commanders. You want to cry. It doesn't matter. Whoever lines up, that's who plays. When you get drugged, now you want to say, we didn't have this, we didn't have that. We have a starting quarterback. Once the game started, he went down. Your guys been playing for weeks. And also, I have to quickly address the foolhardy comments that Micah Parsons made.
Sure.
If you don't look at the score, the game is close.
If you take the scoreboard away, y'all don't do drugs. Okay. Drugs is bad. And he's the prime example.
And don't play for the Cowboys. Those two things are bad. Okay. Okay. If you know, okay. Don't do drugs. Okay. But yeah, so time to hit the first commercial break. And then we will return, get things cracking.
Rams fans all around the world.
It's a beautiful thing to be a Rams fan right now. Stafford's back. We're going to see about Cup. And running back Kyren Williams to return.
Lend me your ears, or should I say lend Playmaker your ears, as he breaks down week by week everything in the Los Angeles Rams canon.
Number 99, Aaron Donald. Can't wait for 2029 to come to know that you are going in the Hall of Fame, and it should be first ballot, no questions asked.
Join the Playmaker as he breaks down everything Los Angeles Rams style in Ramily Talk on the Playmakers Blog Network YouTube channel and where you can find podcasts. Oh, yes. The tradition, the pageantry, the spectacle, the history, the slut. Wait. I gotta rep my brother's stuff right. All my DMV soldiers, stand up! And welcome to the Commander's Gridiron Report. You want your Commanders to be repped right? Well, D. Willie is your man. Commander's Gridiron Report. Every Tuesday at 11:05 a.m. Eastern, 10:05 a.m. Central on the Sotoba Media YouTube channel. Music by J. Cool. Join Ryan McCarthy.
I became a Jets fan because Kermit the Frog was my favorite Muppet because he was green, and the Jets wore green. That's how I became a Jets fan.
And Dustin Henry.
ESPN is cashing all in on let's pay a few personalities and we'll just kind of fill in the gaps.
As they walk you through all of the world of sports from their perspective.
The Albany Empire, it's a literal circus.
No credentials required. Where, Ryan, say the tag.
Where you don't need a press pass to talk sports.
Live every Tuesday at 8 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Central on YouTube and where you can find podcasts. Drew Willingham.
In this case, yeah, you put the blame on Kyle Shanahan for apparently not preparing the team enough for the overtime rules, supposedly.
Cole Johnson.
Peyton was considered the winner, and he was the darling of all darlings for Gerald.
With a special appearance by Tyrone Alizé McDummy.
Ain't nobody calling me. Text delete.
Join these two football enthusiasts as they give you Total Football Talk. Live every Monday at 4 p.m. Eastern, 3 p.m. Central on the Surtoba Media and the Comey Media YouTube channels.
All right, we back in the building, y'all. And a couple things we're going to talk about today, right? So I was going to go vice versa, but we're going to start with this. I mean, we know what's happening, but we're not asking what's happening. We're asking what should happen. So the question, should Saquon Barkley play Week 18 to break the all-time rushing record? And again, we understand that Nick Sirianni has said he won't play. But the question isn't what Nick Sirianni thinks. The question is what we think. Diva, what do you think?
I mean, I most definitely think he should play a quarter. I mean, y'all act like he can't get that in a quarter. You know what I'm saying? Like, why not let that man finish? Let him be great, man. Let him do what he want to do. I know he said that coach asked him if he wanted to play, and he was like, "Yeah, we talked." But it's in my words, I took it as even though you said he asked you, but then you said that it would be a chance for you to imprint your name, basically still telling you wasn't gonna play. Even if you say, "Yeah, coach, I want to play," he basically like, "No, you're not gonna play," because then you wouldn't say, "Well, I wanted to imprint my name. This would be a chance of doing something real big, with a team that I've never been able to do." So yeah, I mean, why are you hating on a man like that? Let that man be great. Let that man break that record. And all you gotta do is play him for a quarter. Like people keep saying, well, he can get hurt. I mean, he can get hurt in practice. He can get hurt running out there. Like you can get hurt at any time. It's not just you're on the field playing the game, you can get hurt. Luckily, he's been healthy this far. I don't feel like he's gonna get hurt in one quarter with the Giants defense. Like make it make sense.
I feel it. Wyatt, what are your thoughts, sir?
Yeah, I mean, I would have been totally okay with him playing a quarter. But to me, in my personal opinion, the record isn't a huge deal to me. At least I know it is to a lot of fans and everything. I was just happy to see dude hit 2,000 yards. He's an elite company with being one of 9 players to ever hit 2,000 yards rushing. Now, if it was like 40, 50 yards he needed for the record, obviously you got to put him out there. But since it is over 100, you're kind of pushing it because not only are you worrying about the health of Saquon, you're worried about the health of your starting offensive line as well, who's already banged up with people going out pretty much each game at this point. And they're going to be putting the starting O-line out. You're not going to put backups out there if you have Saquon out there to try to get him that record. So, I mean, there's a lot of pieces that are involved and you have to worry about in a needless game, a meaningless game for the Eagles. And it's not years ago where you had the second seed had a bye week. You have to take advantage of resting these players when you can because you have to play 4 games in the playoffs. You want to get to the Super Bowl and win. So, I mean, to me, I'm totally fine with resting everybody because I would rather see us have everybody healthy, have a bye week somewhat, go into the playoffs and hopefully make a run at a Super Bowl. I mean, we've seen him do amazing things all this season, have over 2,000 yards. To me, that one extra record doesn't mean a lot to me. I know it means a lot to Saquon and everything. I know he talked to him, but I think it was the right call of not playing players this week.
So I absolutely think that Saquon should play week 18. I think even if it takes him a half, you should give him up to the end of the first half to get the record. It is an all-time record. He has, I believe, my calculation, about 39 or so less carries than Eric Dickerson did in 16 games. There have been times where he's acquiesced and said, for the good of the team, let the other guys eat, I won't play. Right? So I think when you have a guy like that, he has a chance to etch his name in history. Right? Not saying the 2,000 yards is shabby, but when you're 101 yards away from history, and you're the type of running back that can get 100 yards in a quarter, and you're not going to give him that opportunity, that's disappointing to me, not just as a fan, but as a fan of football, period. When you have guys that have an opportunity to break all-time records, because it doesn't come around a lot. There hasn't been many people that have been able to keep the pace, not just this, but sacks, interceptions, anything, right? Total receiving yards for season, anything. It's very hard to get close to making history. And when you have a guy that's close, you talk about injuries. I know that we've had a lot of injuries with Becton. You can throw Tanner McKee in. I mean, not Tanner McKee, but the guy that was going to be the starter. And he's played well when he's played. So you can throw him in for Becton, right? You have somebody that's kind of injured. You want to bang up on the line. I think you have some guys on the bench that you could throw in with your 2 or 3 starters and still be a good enough line for him to be able to go for like a quarter and a half. I'm not saying play him the whole game because I don't think that would be a wise decision because at some point the Giants are going to start getting mad, right? Probably around halftime, halfway through the second quarter, because they're going to probably be getting beat really badly. But also, this is a Giants team that just shot themselves in the foot, right? Or if we want to be really personal with them, this is a Giants team that did a Plaxico Burress, shot themselves in the leg when they had everything in place. All they had to do was lose. You go out and win. So it would be so Nick Sirianni in the back of his mind to be like, we're going to put all the second and third string guys out there, and then maybe we lose the game, and then the Giants get a worst draft pick. Ha, 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 ha. Stuff like that. Like, it just irks me. Like, I'm not saying that he's thinking this way, But the press conferences he's had, the way he talks, the way he does things, those are the type of things I feel like he's more looking at than taking a player on your team that is so close to, I say, football immortality. Because no one thought anyone would ever break OJ's old record, right? Keep in mind, for those of y'all say, oh, Saquon would do it in 17 games. OJ's record was in 14 games. It took Eric Dickerson 2 more games to break OJ's record. And again, even though they've both played 16 games, he has 39 or so more carries this year than Saquon Barkley. And also keep in mind, we play in a time where the passing game is focused on a lot more, right? So there's a lot of things that come into play where this record may not be broken for a long time. And I'm just disappointed that Saquon didn't at least get an opportunity to go out and say, hey, we'll give you a quarter and a half or so. And if you can't do it, you're coming out. But this is your opportunity. I feel like he should at least got the opportunity, but they didn't give it to him. This is another questionable situation that I'll put all on Nick Sirianni and his inability to be a real head coach at times. Read the room and understand the historical impact of letting this man play part of this game. It's just, my personal opinion, but I don't like it at all. Beantown Breakdown, my boy Bobby says, Happy New Year, my guy. Cool. Side note, F the Giants. I hope y'all win by 40 and Barkley goes for 200 on the ground. Well, Bobby, unfortunately, not going to play thanks to Sirianni, but he should. He should have the opportunity to break the record. And last point, his whole team. You're not going to give this guy the opportunity to go out against a team that didn't want him and break the record. Come on, Nick. This is why I don't rock with Nick. This is the type of reasons why I don't rock with Nick. It's not like Nick is a complete idiot. I've made it seem that way at times, but it's not like he's a complete idiot. But when it comes to some of these situations, like, why wouldn't you at least get a guy an opportunity? Like, this is just crazy work for me.
Yeah, I mean, if they were really serious about it, they should have just kept him in throughout the rest of the last game. See how much he was able to get. And then, like, depending on how much he had after that, then, yeah, play him this game. But since it's over 100 yards, yeah, I mean, personally, I wouldn't risk it.
Yeah, 31 carries. I mean, he had enough carries. He had 31 carries.
But I was saying, like, they sat him out most of that fourth quarter. Like, you could have just kept running him. He could have possibly had that record in that game against Dallas.
I would rather not have him rush 40 plus times in a game. I feel like that would be more detrimental to him getting hurt than being fresh and playing for a quarter or two.
Only a week later, though. It's not that it's not that long.
Right, but I mean, you have a guy that's already ran for 31 carries. You put him out there for another 5-10 carries and he gets hurt, then that's a whole different situation because it's like he's never
freak things happen. AJ got hurt last game of the season last year and missed the playoffs. Easily could happen in this game, not just for Saquon, but any of the offensive linemen, any of the wide receivers.
He can get hurt the first play. He can get hurt the first play in the playoffs. He can get hurt the first play of the playoffs. He cannot play it all this week and get hurt in the first play of the playoffs, him or anybody else on the team. So it's not like, oh, if we keep them healthy this week, that means they're going to be there throughout the playoffs. They can get hurt anytime.
Yeah, but why risk it? Just to have a record?
Chance to make history. That's why I risk it.
I guess.
That's why you risk it.
I don't just because Eric Dickerson has that record. I don't consider Eric Dickerson one of the top 5 running backs of all time.
But it's not about being
like that's not going to change my opinion on Saquon if he gets that record.
Not, I mean, I haven't said anything about that changing anyone's opinion of him. What I've said is that puts him in a different class of running back because Adrian Peterson couldn't do this. So many great names could not do this, right? And
he's already in an elite company, over 2,000 yards. Only 9 other players have ever done that.
Yeah, he's one of only 8 or 9. But if he breaks the record, he's number 1 all time. That's a different level of elite company.
Yeah, and there's how many people that have broken that record though?
Like he wants to do it
over the years.
Not many, because the record stood since 1984. So no one's broken it in 84? We came from 84 to 2024, 40 years.
Yeah.
So we're talking about a record that stood for 40 years. So that's not impressive to break a record that stood for 40 years, and he wants to do it. It's not like he's saying, no. You could tell he wants to do it, but Nick is like, oh, don't worry about that. It's team first, blah, blah, blah. Mm-hmm. And like I say, it is what it is, but you should give that man a chance.
He had 16 other games as a chance. He could have broken that record too.
But they ain't give him that, and a lot of them know.
Right.
They asked him in the one game. They asked him if he wanted to be
one game. And that was in the
But
fourth
I
quarter.
mean,
That wasn't like it was
That
the first
could have been an
quarter.
extra 50, 60 yards.
It
Who
could have been, or
knows?
it could have been, or he could have got hurt. Like you said, down, he could have got hurt.
Yeah. But I mean, you have a second seed, game's locked in. This is meaningless.
But I mean, that game he
Rest your
chose not
starters.
to, though. You know what I'm saying? He was like, "No, I want the
It's
other
not
ones to eat."
meaningless though to the guys that are playing. We're saying as fans it's meaningless. It's not meaningless to the Philadelphia Eagles. You know what
When
I'm
it
saying?
doesn't have any
Because
effect on your playoffs, it is.
it is okay. So how many teams have we talked about over the
I
years?
care
that
about
say,
wins more than personal records. I'd
okay,
rather
well,
have a full,
let's
healthy
look at it
roster.
this way too. This is part of it as well. How about the fact that how many teams that say, "Oh, we're not going to play our guys," and this because we got everything launched, and then went into the playoffs cold the next week
Okay.
and got drugged? How many teams
Okay.
have done that?
With that same thinking, though, you put Saquon in for a half. What if he only gets 40 yards?
Then he just gets 40 yards. He's
Then you
had
put
his
him out there
opportunity.
for nothing, though. That's what I'm saying. It's like
But
either
that's
thing
the
could happen. It's not a guarantee
right.
that he
But
gets this record if you
I'm
play
not
him.
saying,
Like,
and I'm not saying that you give him a whole game to get it. I'm saying get him in a
no.
quarter and a half, see what he does. If he gets it, cool. If he doesn't, because there's been multiple games, especially in the first quarter, where this man has came out and put up 100 yards. He put up 109 yards against the Commanders 2 weeks ago in the first quarter.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not like this guy can't go out there against this Giants defense missing a couple of their best players and put up 100 yards. And maybe he doesn't. If he doesn't, hey, he doesn't. But I feel like he deserves the opportunity to do so, and that's being taken away from him. Beantown Breakdown says, real talk, though, I think he gets the first half and then they sit him. Sienna said they sit him the whole game, Bobby. All right, Damian says, breaking the record helps him get closer to being in the Hall of Fame when the time comes. It does because
I
running
think he
backs
could be in the
are
Hall of Fame
different.
without the record, though.
He could be, right? Could be. But if he was to break this record, he's going to go in the Hall of Fame. If he falls off the rest of his career, if he is at one point the all-time leading rusher, he's going to go in the Hall of Fame. I'm not saying he couldn't do it without it, but if he was to break this record, and again, this is not something where Saquon is saying, yeah, I don't want to play, I'm good. He's like, I really want to, but I understand for the betterment of the team.
Yeah.
So he wants to do it. He wants that opportunity. He's been a good team player all year. There's been games where he could have got more carries. He didn't. There's been opportunities where the passing game has been proficient. Cool. He hasn't complained at all this season. I know people say, oh, why would he complain? He's had all this. There's other guys that have had more carries than him. He's just been more explosive. He's had a lot of 20-yard carries, a lot of 15-yard carries and all that. All I'm saying is you should give a man opportunity. If he doesn't get it, he doesn't get it. But you should give the man opportunity, but they're not going to, so it is what it is.
Yeah.
All right. And now we're going to roll, of course, to our playoff update. So we know the playoffs are here. We know there are teams in the playoff, right? Obviously. But as far as who's in, if I remember correctly, it's pulling up now for me. It's taking a minute because, when you want to talk about it, that's what's
You're
going
cutting out, man.
I believe there's only like one spot up in each conference chance for last year as our team is an NFC team. So we'll start with the AFC. So in the AFC, one spot left. Number one is the Chiefs. They play Denver week 18. That's important. That's why I mentioned it. All right, number two is the Bills at 13-3. They're both locked in because even with losses, no one below them could catch them. At number three, Baltimore Ravens, they're 11-5. At number four, the Houston Texans at 9-7. Boy, they've been looking bad. They're just in a really bad division. At number five, the 10-6 Steelers. And at number six, the 10-6 Chargers. And due to losses, the Broncos, they're in the hunt, but they still have some teams who could get in with some crazy things happening. But the Broncos are in the driver's seat right now, 9-7. They win, they're in. Still in the bubble at 8-8, the Dolphins and the Bengals. The reason why that game against Kansas City is important because the Broncos in Kansas City. Now, here's the thing: Kansas City absolutely has nothing to play for. They're 15-1, so I can see a scenario where maybe they're sitting Mahomes and other guys, and if Carson Wentz is starting the game,
Carson Wentz is starting.
The Broncos have a great opportunity to win, but the Broncos could still Bronco. You know, because at one point they were a little bit higher, but the Broncos could still Bronco. But it's a good possibility that they should win, but if they don't, Dolphins and Bengals are lingering. Everyone else has already been eliminated from playoff contention. All right, over in the NFC, there's one playoff spot available. And number one at 14-2 are the Lions. They play the Minnesota Vikings, who is the other team that has an opportunity to have the top pick. The top seed, excuse me. Philadelphia Eagles are 13-3. They're pretty much locked into the number 2 spot. Number 3 is the Rams at 10-6. And they're locked in. They're pretty much locked into their spot now as well. At number 4 is the one that's up for grabs. So that's why I'm skipping that one. At 5, we have the Vikings, who are 14-2. They're second in the NFC North, but they play the Lions week 18. If they beat the Lions, they'll get to number 1, and Lions will fall to number 5. The Commanders are number 6 right now at 11-5. They beat Dallas. They stay 6th seed no matter what. If they lose and the Packers win, the Packers would be number 6 and the Commanders would fall to number 7. That's important about who you play. In number 6, you play the Rams in the first round. In number 7, you play the Eagles in the first round. And if I'm the Commanders or the Packers, I would rather take my chances to get the Rams than the Philadelphia Eagles in the playoffs in the first round. That's just, that's just me. So I think it's a lot of motivation to play well. Obviously, Eagles podcast, we're Eagles fans, so that's why we think that way. But that's a really good defense most of the time. Didn't look as good against Commanders 2 weeks ago, but for the most part, it's been a really good defense. So I would want to skip the best defense I might see outside of possibly the Super Bowl if I could by winning. All right, and then the number 4 seed right now is the Tampa Bay Buccaneers at 9-7. The first in the NFC South. The Atlanta Falcons, they're second in the NFC South. They're 8-8. So if the Buccaneers win, they're in. If the Buccaneers lose and the Falcons win, the Falcons are in. So it's just that simple. And in those games, the Buccaneers play the Saints and the Falcons play the Panthers. So those are divisional games for them. Whoever wins, wins. It'll be fun to see what happens with those. All right. Wyatt, we'll start with you. Any thoughts about the NFC playoff pitch? I know we really don't care too much about the AFC until it gets to the Super Bowl if we're on the other side. But any thoughts about the NFC playoff picture? And who would you prefer to play if you were the Eagles?
Man, I was going to say, give me any team as of right now. I feel like the Eagles, fully healthy, can beat any of these teams. But I mean, as far as wild card round, I'd rather go against some Packers.
Fair enough. Diva, any thoughts? And if you have a preference, who would you rather play?
I mean, I feel like the Eagles can beat either one. I feel like we could beat the Commanders. Technically, we would have beat them last game if defense would have did what they were supposed to do, and Smitty wouldn't have dropped that ball. So I'm not scared of neither one of them. Packers really aren't playing nowhere near where they was maybe like 6 games ago. They fell off.
Mm-hmm.
Commanders can be contained, as we see. We matched up really well with them as long as the defense plays well, and we got Jalen back. So I'm not give me either one of them. Bring it on.
Facts, big facts.
Hey, I'm with it. I'm not mad about it at all. I think it's interesting. My big question will be who wants to play us, right? I don't care who we play. I just asked the question just to get y'all thoughts. I don't care who we play. We could play anybody in the playoffs. Really, the first round would be good. But I think what's interesting for me is the opportunity to go out if you're those two teams and posture, especially if you're Washington, right? Because Washington's beat us, we've beat them. It's hard to beat a team 3 times in the season, so there is honestly a slight bit of relief that we won the game because we won. So, I mean, we lost the game, so we don't have to worry about if we see them in the playoffs, worrying about you play teams 3 times. It's hard to beat teams 3 times, which is true. It's hard to beat teams 3 times in a season. So It's hard to beat somebody in your division twice in the regular season and in the playoffs because they've seen you 3 times. They've got the extra bit of motivation. We're taking it away by unfortunately giving up the loss, but that did help us by knocking a couple teams out of the playoffs. So I'm not upset about that. I'm never upset when we knock competition out of the playoffs. So there was some bright lining, as we talked about last week, to losing. But we got back on track. We took care of what we needed to. So, there's that. To me, it doesn't matter who gets in as a number 4 seed. If you got to play the Lions or the Vikings, you're probably going home. If you're, you know what I'm saying? So it doesn't matter who wins, whether that's the Bucks or the Falcons, you're going to get dog walked at home by the Lions or the Vikings. Especially if the Lions lose and end up in 5th place.
Oh yeah, they're going to be mad. Big mad.
Going to destroy whoever they play. And both of those teams play in a dome. So you're going to be playing in a dome, so you're not going to have to worry about elements at all. Oh, yeah. I wouldn't want to be the winner of the NFC South this year. I really would not want to be that team. So, yeah, I think the playoffs are going to be interesting. We'll know all the seeding by next week, so we'll be able to talk about our actual matchup, who's going to play who, we think is going to win, how the brackets we think is going to go, and how we're going to get where we need to go and who we might be playing. A couple of comments here. Shout out in the building.
What up,
What's going on?
Says, Happy New Year's, fam. Happy New Year's, fam. Enjoyed your Christmas and your New Year's. You know what I'm saying?
No, Unc was drunk, boy. That boy was drunk on his mind.
Wide open. I ain't mad at it. Damien says, playoffs, what's that? For those of you who don't know, Damien is a Chicago Bears fan. Damien says, hearing Lions, Vikings, and Packers in the playoffs makes me want to puke. I can understand that. If everybody in my team made it the playoffs with me, I would want to puke. Washington, talking about you 2 years ago. We could have been the first team ever. And what did Washington do? Well, Washington always did it at time. Choked it away. Great job. Unc says, drunk right now. Oh, I believe that, Unc.
We know.
I believe that. Ain't no doubt about that. But we appreciate you tuning in, though. Real talk. Real talk. All right, y'all. So what we going to do here, take another quick break. We'll just take a quick one. And then we're going to roll back through. And we're going to preview the final game of the regular season. We have a lot of backups playing, but, we do what we do. We'll find a way to make it slightly interesting. How about that? I don't know what it is as of yet, but we got a few minutes to figure it out. We'll be back.
Whether it's news, the largest egg producer finds bird flu in chickens at a Texas plant, weather, devastating tornadoes rip through the heart of the United States, inspiration, a breast cancer survivor completed the journey of chemotherapy, and now begins a future one of matrimony or sports. Michael Jordan is shown on a photo with Diddy. LeBron James has a video extolling the virtues of a Diddy party. This has been yet another beating a dead horse presentation. We got you covered. BS3 Network proudly presents The Morning Shift with Cole Johnson. Live every weekday morning beginning April 29th at 8 a.m. Eastern, 7 a.m. Central. Join the transporter to Hades.
Your butt and gut becomes one.
Join the reformer of hooker whores.
This is my daughter, Placenta Booty Johnson.
Join the bronze god.
Whenever you are in distress, take off your baseball cap and throw it in the air.
Join your very own superhero of broadcasting, Chris Bass.
So whatever color crayon they get, they palm it and do 2 circles, and that translates to I can beat up black people.
As she takes you through the week's paces in Baseline. Live every Saturday at 8 a.m. Eastern, 7 a.m. Central. No, Pacific Time Zone people, just stay asleep when this is on live and just catch the recording. Oh, I'm sorry. Exclusively on the Chris Bass YouTube channel.
Everything Boston. I love you morons. New Kids on the Block, New Edition.
Dear whatever the law firm is. Sincerely, the U.S. Supreme Court.
Ben Affleck, Matt Damon. Go yourself again, Jason Whitlock.
All right, y'all, and we are back in the building. And of course, we're finishing up. We got some time. If we don't need it, we don't need it, but we got a little time just to talk here about our final regular season game of the year. And that's going to be our Week 18 preview against the New York Football Giants. So, Diva and Wyatt, we know it's probably going to be our backups for the most part across the board, assuming offense and defense. So, I don't have really high expectations for this game. We're not going to see any starters. We don't have the possibility of, the record being broke or anything. So it's pretty much a regular season game. My thoughts would be just elevate the guys from the practice squad, play them, take the guys you're not going to play anyway, make them inactive, and just go out there and let people have fun. Screw the playbook. Just go have fun. I mean, you're not going to play anyway. Just go have fun.
Basically.
Why? What you got?
Yeah, I mean, I think the only thing you can kind of say that would come good out of this game is that not just practice guys, but a lot of guys that wouldn't get action normally throughout the regular season. We get to see a lot of those guys out on the field, get them some experience, even though this is against the Giants, one of the worst teams in the NFL. I think it's good to have some guys out there on the field, see what they're able to do. That's not in like a preseason format. I know that's what a lot of preseason stuff is for, but it's good to get a lot of guys these reps in case they are needed throughout playoffs. Say if there's injuries, next man up type thing. That's the only real takeaway I can, see from it, getting some of these guys meaningful reps whenever they normally wouldn't at this point. So, I mean, try to do your best, I guess, put pressure on the quarterback. I mean, Drew Lock's not the greatest quarterback. So, I mean, I think even with our second or third stringers out there, we could probably beat the Giants.
Man, I hope so. I don't know if we're going to see much pressure. I don't know. I mean, really, I guess you just go out there and have fun. It ain't going to be no pressure like you would see, last week or week before last. Definitely not going to be that kind of pressure. Drew Luck might get off. I mean, I don't know. I don't really know how our second stringers look. Man, we have Eli Ricks and people like that back there. But a lot of them ain't got much rep, so they might just be out there just winging it. You know what I'm saying? Like, whoever came in running last week, I'm like, do y'all know who that is? Because it wasn't Will Shipley. I'm asking everybody, like, does anybody know who that running back is? Like, where he even come from? So, he's running pretty well though. I mean, he was hustling. But yeah, I mean, basically, you just go out there and have fun, man. Because I don't know.
Get
shine on.
Maybe we'll finally see the Jahan Dotson. Guess Carroll have to play. Oh no, because Zuma's gone. So, the other guy we saw last week, I don't remember his name, but the guy
Jay Jenkins.
Yeah, he played
he's on the active roster
and dropped like an open pass, but maybe he'll play.
Let Wilson play.
Yeah, get all these wide receiver threes out there so we can get them to do something, get some workout. Hopefully they step up in the playoffs if they're called upon. Hopefully.
I mean, I hope Will Shipley's back so he can get some, so people can actually see what he can do. Because I don't know what the coaching staff be looking at, but yeah,
maybe Gainwell will start.
Oh,
I would still sit him because I mean he's basically the second running back. I don't know. I wouldn't play Gainwell. I'd play whoever was out there last week in Shipley if Shipley's available.
Yeah.
For real.
And then like Wilson, Dotson, and whoever else is on the practice squad.
Who's on the defense?
That's the question. Like, who is on our defense and besides the starters? Like, for real. You know what? Let's go look.
Yeah, we might want to look that up.
Who's on the depth chart? All right, here we go. So, this depth chart does not seem to be up to date. Let me hold on here.
Maybe Jeremiah Trotter Jr.
Wild.
Yeah, have him out there.
He had a couple nice plays last week.
Yeah, with Huff going out and Kobe Dean not
go.
playing.
All right, so
probably get to see Sidney Brown more.
fullback Kari Glassy. We've got Charles Harris is the outside linebacker. Lakin Vakalaki is the offensive tackle. Tyrion Davis Price, he'll probably get some run this week. Again, he played last week. Pari Nickerson and Tariq Castro Fields. O'Shawn Mathis, he's the outside linebacker. Mekhi Gardner. It's on the practice squad. Danny Gray's a wide receiver. Paris Campbell's still on the practice squad. Andre Sam. KJ Henry, he's a defensive end. AJ Woods, he's a cornerback. Brett Toth, we know who he is, he's an offensive lineman. Kyle Phillips, he's a wide receiver. Gabe Hall is a defensive tackle. Dallas Gant is the inside linebacker. Right now, Will Shipley is still listed as out. I think you're talking about Tyrion Davis Price was the running back that played last week. He'll probably, if Shipley can't go, he'll probably start. If Shipley can't go, he'll probably be his number one backup.
Shipley got a concussion too, I think.
Yeah. We still trying to figure out when and where, but yeah.
Covey's on injury reserve again, so he won't be back.
Is he? I thought he was off.
Yeah.
I know he has a neck injury. They were being
He's
safe
off.
with him.
Yeah, he was off.
He was on. We got to put right back on there.
Yeah, put right back on there. If we're looking at guys who we might know, we'll probably have Moro Jomo started defensive end. Thomas Booker started nose tackle. They'd have to elevate somebody from the practice squad because we don't actually have another defensive tackle on the active roster. So Gabe Hall will probably get some major run. The other thing with doing it this way is you're going to have your backups playing a whole game because we're not deep on the defensive line. So Moro Jomo, Thomas Booker, and Gabe Hall would basically be playing the whole game if we're not going to play the starters at all. You know what I'm saying? Like literally the whole game. Outside linebacker, of course, you'd start Bryce Huff at left instead of Nolan Smith. Jeremiah Trotter Jr. Wheel linebacker. Oren Burks. Well, he played this week because Dean's hurt, but he'd be playing again. Jalix Hunt would be a right linebacker. Isaiah Rogers and Eli Ricks would be playing some corner. Sidney Brown, Tristan McCollum at safety. Ringo at right corner. And then Avonte Maddox at nickelback. So we know that Avonte Maddox would be definitely getting attacked.
And it'll be
the easy place right there.
I mean, he made one good play last week.
He did.
He did.
So according to this, apparently the Dolphins got rid of Anaya Smith and he's back with the Eagles.
Yeah, I saw that.
What?
Yeah, they have him listed on the depth chart here.
Yeah, so he's on the depth chart. So apparently, maybe they had signed him for like a game or two and then cut him again. He's back on our practice squad, so we got him back. He's on the active roster now.
Okay, well, elevate him and let him see what he can
Johnny
do.
Wilson and Jahan Dotson, they act as a number one. Oh, well, Smith is on the active roster as of today. He is on the active roster. Maybe Dotson will act as the number one this week, but I mean, since he technically isn't started, they may not play him. Who knows? We've only got 5 receivers. So see how that works. Fred Johnson would be playing left tackle, it looks like. I mean, he's played pretty well. Tyler Stee, they have him at left guard, which is a little weird because he's been Mekhi Becton's backup pretty much. but they have him listed as the left guard. Nick Gates as the backup center. Trevor Keegan as the backup right guard. Who, yeah, I don't know if that's going to be a good move. Jack Driscoll at right tackle. EJ Jenkins at tight end because we only have 2 active. Kenny Pickett is right now listed not injured, and then of course Kenneth Gainwell if backup running back as a starter. So you know, it's not a group that I would feel like would truthfully instill any fear in the other team. But I mean, the backups for
I think it's going to probably be Tanner McKee and Ian Book at QB. I don't think Pickett's going to play.
Personally, I wouldn't play the man. I mean, just in case you got it, just in case you got to use him in the playoffs, and he still got them broken ribs.
Yeah,
I wouldn't play the man. I would just leave it to Tanner McKee and garbage Ian.
I would put. I just put Ian Book in. I just let Ian. What difference does it make? Just put.
I mean, yeah, that too.
What Nate Sudfeld doing? We need someone to go in here and play a meaningless game against the Giants.
I mean, I guess that's what Ian Book's for.
Yeah.
So I mean, you know, you're not gonna play anybody. You might as well just put Ian Book in, and if something happens to him, we can put what's calling it as the backup. I wouldn't start him. I don't want to start like anybody that may have a possibility of needing to play. Tanner McKee could just be like the backup to Ian Book because we're not going out there trying to win a game. We're not going out there getting points or whatever. And Nick Sirianni can say whatever he wants. If you're sitting every starter on offense, you're not trying to win a game. In defense, if you're sitting all the starters, you're not trying to win a game. So just be honest about it. You're just trying to get through the game. So just go and throw Ian Book out there and let him go out there and Ian Book it up. I mean, there's really nothing else I could say. Like,
Another thing I can say, screw up the Giants draft pick even more. They drop from 1 to 8 or 10.
That's got to be what they're trying to do, right? And if I'm the Giants, honestly, I'm saying, oh, you putting your third string in? Okay. Yeah, like we don't got a third string. What you saying?
We're gonna play a guy that's not even doesn't play QB. We're gonna put someone else.
We're gonna pick up somebody that nobody wants and just put him in the game. Like, well, you don't need to play, but just throw, right?
Right.
But yeah, I mean, I joke, but it's to me, it's disappointing when you take a whole game and just don't play your starters. But I mean, I have no control over that. That's all Nick and the coordinator. So it is what it is.
That's all Nick.
Yeah. I mean the coordinators could really push if they wanted to. I feel like if they really wanted to be like, nah, we need to at least play some guys they could, but it's worth it. It's really not. So with a lot less beating than every other week, New York Giants, this is for you.
Just gotta get through this. Playoffs are literally right around the corner. We almost there.
And I also want to say in regards to all the teams that have been eliminated. Yeah, we're talking about the playoffs next week.
What's that? Playoffs? Don't talk about it. Playoffs? You kidding me? Playoffs? I just hope we can win a game.
And I gotta admit, when I was going through the day, and they were like, Saquon and all the starters are going to be sitting, this was my first thought. So, I do want to say, though, Philadelphia Eagles have won the NFC East, and we are the number 2 seed.
Woo! Factual. I'm at Saquon said he didn't even know you get shirts and hats. I was like, dang, my boy.
I'm down bad over there.
They didn't know such a thing existed. But that's what happens when you're on a habitually mediocre team. So I feel bad for that dude, man. It's a lot it's so much I can say is why I would like to see him a little bit this week. But I get it. But yeah, I just feel bad for that dude. What he had to put up with when he was playing for the Giants, man, for all those years. That's sad, man. But this one right here, this is what I believe is going to happen in the playoffs, and this one's for Eagle Diva.
But the cream will rise to the top. Oh, yeah.
We believe we're that cream. We going to see.
Oh yeah.
But we believe that we're that cream. And oh, by the way, I know he ain't played last week or the week before. There's been a lot of hate on my quarterback, but this is what y'all need to do for my quarterback, our quarterback, QB1.
Acknowledge me.
With that being said,
You already know.
Watch that boy come out and slinging it against.
I hope so. If he rusty, you can't get mad at him because he ain't playing. He ain't being played in 3 weeks.
I know.
You know what I'm saying? What, 5 snaps? So make sure you tell 4 of your friends and 4 people you may or may not like to come check us out live or on the replay. Either way, you still getting the goodness from the squad.
And hit that like button.
Yes, sir. Hit that like button and that subscribe button as well. 2021, 2022, 2023, 2024, now 2025. So, Eagles Elite, we in the building through the holiday season. So, we're going to go ahead for the last time. Make sure you check on your people. People need to love. They need to feel like people care, and it's never where you start. It's always where you finish. Eagles out next week. Anticipating a loss, but hey, we could fool around and win. It doesn't matter. So nobody else cares. Why should I care? We out.